Hello, this is the Apex Legends Season 6 tier list. Disclaimer, before we start ranking the legends, surprisingly enough, this is my own opinion, so don't get too mad about it. And we're just gonna start at the bottom. We're skipping F tier though, because I don't believe that any legend is F tier. Because whether they're used to be big or small, they have a use. Oh yeah, and before we get into the list, I'm just gonna briefly tell you guys what each tier means. D tier is just basically the characters aren't really that good. There's not a lot of situations which they're good in, but they're not completely trash, and in niche situations they can be useful. C is that they're useful in about like half of situations. They're useful in some situations. They don't bring much to the team, but you can still do well as them if you have good gun skill. B tier, these legends are all good in their own right. They're nothing to be laughed at. They're good legends. And yeah, they're just middle of the road, balanced. A tier legends are like really good in most regards. They have a lot of powerful aids in their abilities. And you'll be good picking one of these legends in ranked. S tier legends are just really powerful. They have a ton of abilities to utilize that just help the team out immensely. And if you use these in ranked, you're going to be having a good time. Okay, now on to the list. Starting off with Loba's Tactical, the bracelet. It's a movement ability, and that makes it like good just to start off, because it's a movement ability, and movement abilities are very powerful in Apex Legends. But I think it's the worst movement ability in the game, because there's not that many, but like compared with Pathfinder's grapple, it's just not as good, because if you know how to use the grapple, you can travel a further distance, and it's just easier to use, because you just grapple onto something and you just go. But with Loba, you gotta throw it and wait, and you can get shot the whole time, and you can't run. So yeah, 9 times out of 10, if you're using it to get out of a fight, you're just gonna die while waiting for it. And if you're using it to get into a fight, like throwing the bracelet on someone, the ending animation is also long to the point where they can turn around and crack your shield before you can even finish. So it's still a movement ability, which makes it good, but it's probably the worst movement ability, unless I'm forgetting one. Her ultimate, the buff to it definitely helped where it charged faster. It makes it so that she can just put it down more. But like, it's not necessary ultimate, I should say, because you don't really need it. Like, it makes things easier, like looting an area is quicker, but it's not really like anything necessary. It's not like an airstrike, which you can call down and just cover yourself. It's just something that makes looting a little bit easier, so it's not really that good. Her passive, Eye for Quality, just where she can just see purple and above items through walls. It can help, but mostly it just helps during early game. Because, yeah, it's not really much of a big help like later in the game, because you're already kitted out, so it's not really going to help that much to get a few more extra things just seeing through walls. And my overall thoughts on Loba is that she's not that bad, because like the bracelet can be useful, the ultimate can be useful in niche situations, and her passive is useful early game. But overall, she just doesn't have anything that really stands out. So yeah, that's D tier. Up next is C tier, and for C tier, I have Octane and Rampart. Now, Rampart might be a bit controversial, since like she's just been released, but I honestly don't think she's that good. And Octane has never been like that good, because he's just a fast legend, but Bloodhound is still faster. So yeah, starting with Octane, his stim can help just like to get into a fight, but you're still gonna be entering the fight with 10 less HP, which can be the difference between winning a fight or losing a fight. So you can use a stim for that, but in most situations I'd prefer not to. It can make strafing a bit easier since, you know, you're faster. But yeah, that's really most useless, and just getting places quicker is like the obvious. His jump pad, I would say, is the best part about him, because it can relocate your whole team quite easily. I would still say the Pathfinder zipline is better than the jump pad, just because it can go farther distances, and it's easier to use. And his passive, regenning health, it pairs perfectly with his tactical, the stim, because you're going to be taking 10 HP from your health pretty often, and you're going to regain with his passive. But that's pretty much the only use. You can regain some health, so you don't have to use a stim to get back up to full after a fight. So yeah, that's Octane. And Rampart, let's go to her. Her walls, like her tactical, I would say is also the best part about her. Because you can put them down, and like they have the top part, I think that the part that amplifies your bullets only has 200 health if I'm correct, but I think the bottom part has 400. So that's pretty nifty if you're in a bad situation, you just need some cover on the go. But you can't really just put it down while you're getting shot at. You have to set up, because they can just one-shot it, and you're just gonna have wasted that charge of the wall. Up next is her machine gun, Sheila. Sheila is a very niche ultimate, because she can be useful in some circumstances. If you're trying to gatekeep a team that's running into ring late, and you have a Sheila set up, there's not much that they can do. But if you're just around the corner waiting for someone with Sheila, it's not that good, because you have to rev up the machine gun if you don't want them to see the laser, and revving it up takes like a good 4 or 5 seconds, I'm pretty sure. And if you're keeping it revved up, they can see the laser before they turn the corner, and if you're keeping the laser off to a wall or something to avoid them seeing the laser, they'll most likely hear the revving up of the machine gun. So you're not going to surprise most people like that. And her passive, where she gets extra ammo for the LMGs. It's useful if you like to use LMGs a lot, but I don't really use LMGs that much, so just for me personally, it barely exists. Oh yeah, and this specific tier is ordered. I think that Rampart is better than Octane. I think Octane's just on the like bottom of C tier. But Rampart's not that bad. She's just, you have to play her in a certain way, or else you're not going to succeed. In Octane, he just doesn't really benefit the team that much. So those are my thoughts for C tier, and up next is B tier. B tier, we have Bangalore and Mirage. Starting off with Bangalore, with her tactical, the smokes, it can be useful to cover yourself if you have to go through an open area. And you put the smoke down, and the enemies can't really see what they're shooting at, so it's useful for those situations. But indoors, if you're getting pushed by a team, it's probably going to hinder you more than it's going to help you. Because it's quite disorientating fighting in the smoke, because you can't really see much since it's smoke. So you have to weigh whether it's good to use the smoke or not to use the smoke. So she's kind of iffy in that regard. And her passive is, I would say her passive is the high point about her. Her passive's really good when you're getting shot at. You move 30% quicker, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just good if you want to get to cover quicker, or just get to cover in general, because you most likely won't know you're getting shot at before they actually fire the shot. So it's good to just get to cover if you're getting shot at, or to rush someone that's shooting at you. So it's really good in those circumstances, and it's quite hard to hit a Bangalore that's strafing while she's doing that. Because Bangalore's hitbox is pretty good, as you can see. She's a thin lady. Next up is Mirage. Mirage, the rework he got in Season 5, was really good for him. He used to be utter trash, but he's quite good now, after the rework. His passive, it's when you're resing, you go invisible, and when you're respawning, you go invisible. And you're also invisible after you get knocked down for the first 3 or 4 seconds. And the knockdown part of it is useful if you have a golden shield, but they'll most likely find you after the invisibility has worn off. But it's still just a nice thing to have while you're self-resing. And his ultimate's good because it recharges like every 60 seconds, so you can just use it in a fight without having to worry. And it's pretty disorientating, like not being able to tell which decoy is which and which is the real Mirage. So his ultimate helps a lot, and his tactical, it can be useful in certain situations, but it's not very useful most of the time. Because if you have to run through an open space, and most of the time you just put your clone out in front of you, and you use it to mirror your movements, and then you just walk across. But most people know to shoot the Mirage in the back, not the Mirage that's running in the front. So most people won't fall for that, but you can put the Mirage decoy behind you and walk through the open space. But other than that, it's not very useful. But adding on to that, you can also just throw it out from behind a rock if you're taking cover, and people might shoot at it. But those are the very limited uses of it. So overall, I think Mirage is like good mostly for his res. He's a pretty good reser, and he's good in 1v1 duels. Cause yeah, he relies a lot on gun skill though, cause like his abilities aren't gonna win you fights by themselves. And Bangalore, she's just her smokes can affect you and your teammates, but her passive's nice. Oh, I forgot to cover Bangalore's ult. Yeah, Bangalore's ult, the change where it's faster now, you actually get it faster, is a big help. Because before it just seemed like you would get it twice a game and that's it, unless you're spamming it. So yeah, it's a good help, and it's a big help, I mean. And it really helps to just hold down an area. Not really hold down an area, but stop a team from pushing you, because they don't want to get hit by those rockets, because they do quite a bit of damage. Okay, moving on to A tier. Starting off A tier is Crypto. I honestly think that Crypto is very good, like on the edge of S tier. It's really good how he can res teammates from the respawn beacons. That's just huge, because you can pick up the banners. You can pick up the banners with the drone, and then you can just walk over and respawn both your teammates at the click of a button. That's just insane. The drone's just really good for scouting overall, and just like being aware of your enemy's positions. And the ultimate EMP is very, very good, because if say you're fighting a team of people with purple shield, you EMP and your team rushes them, it's like you're fighting people with gray shields, and that's kind of unfair when you potentially have purple or red evo. So that's also insane about him, because his ult's like really good. And his passive, it's quite simple. His teammates can just see what his drone marks. Yeah, because yeah, it's kind of just a given, but Respawn probably didn't really know a passive for Crypto, so they just gave him that. But that's nice that your teammates can see what your drone sees. So that's Crypto. He's overall a very good character. He's the top of A tier, I would say. Next is Revenant. Revenant, his silence, he has 2 charges, and I think they're on a cooldown of 10 seconds each, if I'm not mistaken. The silence is good, because like some legends are like based off of their abilities. I mean, what am I saying? All legends are based off of their abilities, but some legends are just based off of like they rely on their abilities to win fights, is what I'm trying to say. And Revenant can just disable that. Can just make them a regular legend, just running around with a gun. So yeah, that's good, and he has 2 charges and they each do 10 damage, but the damage isn't really the part you're after. They're also good to just cover you, because some people don't want to run into the silence. His ultimate is the best part about him, I would say. It's the death totem, and it's basically just a free push, and that's insane, because it's just a free push. If you down someone, then that's just an automatic 3v2, so that's crazy. And you can either just, after you've been exited out of the death totem, you can either just push, like with the 50 health, or you can use 2 stims real quickly and just go after that team. And after the death totem, there's not much they can do unless they heal very quickly. So that's insane, because it's just a free push, though albeit with less health. His passive is also quite nice. I think the noise of his crouching is reduced, the noise of his crouch walking is reduced, and he crouch walks faster, and he can climb taller. So that's useful to get to some harder to reach places, and also for just crouch walking quickly. It's relatively self-explanatory. Next we have Lifeline. Let's see, Lifeline. Yeah, Lifeline is also very good. The changes they made to her helped her a lot. Her res is super good, because it's so annoying going against a Lifeline who keeps on popping the drone onto her teammate. And you can utilize the res shield when you're playing Lifeline, so that's really good. Her tactical, the drone, is really good just after a fight if you want to keep meds for when you're getting poked at. So you can just use the drone after a fight. It can heal most of your teammates up to full health, and they can just top off their shields with their batteries. The drone's really good. It's on a bit of a long cooldown, but it doesn't need to be on a cooldown that's super short. That would just be too OP. Her ultimate, it does not need to take as long as it does to charge, because if you're lucky, you're going to get a purple shield, which is nice, but everything else that comes with it, unless you're low on meds, it's not really that good at all, because most likely you're going to get a scope and maybe a few syringes that you might not even need. So I think they should make her ult charge a little bit faster. That'll definitely help her. I forgot her passive. Oh yeah, the passive is the revive. Yeah, so overall Lifeline's also really good. She's up there with Crypto at the top of A tier. Next up we have Pathfinder. Oh, Pathfinder's really good, but his hitbox is easy to hit. That's one of his downsides, because he's like a walking fridge. His head hitbox is good though, but his body is just like a fridge, so it's not really that hard to hit him. So that's one of his downsides. But the grapple is the best movement ability in the game, hands down. Like, he got butchered in Season 5 with the 35-second cooldown. But when you do have that grapple, it's gonna be a great use. Whether just getting places faster or grappling onto people. It's just a great ability overall. The zipline. I think it's the best repositioning tool. Other than the Wraith portal, yeah. The Wraith portal is really good, because the difference between the Wraith portal and the zipline is that the zipline's better for just repositioning to high ground or longer distances, but the portal can just be used to get out of sticky situations close by and just heal up and then get back into the fight. So those are the differences between the zipline and the portal. But yeah, the zipline's really good either way. And the passive, all the recons have his old passive now. Crypto, Bloodhound, and Pathfinder still has it. But now the thing they added onto him is that every single time he uses a beacon, he gets his zipline, and it's a minus 10 seconds cooldown, which is nice. It is nice. It's a little bit of a push forward for him, though all the recons now have it. So his passive's still pretty nice. And The last person in A tier I'd say is WATTSON. WATTSON's very good for tournament play, because WATTSON in tournaments, people just play differently in tournaments. They don't really rush you, so WATTSON's very good just holding down an area, especially with the ult that prevents grenade spam, which can be very annoying and very hard to go against. So her ultimate's very good for that, and it also recharges shields, which is good if you're just getting poked at and you can't spare many shield cells or batteries. Her passive, the ability to hold a lot of ult accelerants, is nice, especially if you're running someone else on the team that needs a lot of ult accelerants, because their ult is valuable. You can hold some for them, and she also gets her ult instantly from them. So you want to be using them mainly on herself. So yeah, her passive's really good for that. And defenses, they're good for just keeping an area safe, just like camping, as you can call it. Yeah, that's mainly their uses, just to hold down an area. But I think she's been granted less nodes, because I think she got nerfed a bit, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But she's still very strong. That's the end of A tier. Let's move on to S tier. Okay, these legends are the best of the best. They're really good in most, if not all, situations. They're always a great addition on your team. And you should not take going against one of these lightly. So starting off, we have Bloodhound, the technological tracker. His scan, after all the changes it's gone through, is just very strong. It scans a huge area. It highlights the targets you scan for 2 or 3 seconds. And yeah, the scan's just good for finding out where enemies are. And before you loot an area, you can just scan and see if there's a squad camping there. So it's really good for that. His ultimate, the changes to his ultimate are the thing that really put him up here in the S tier with everyone else. Because it's just like a 6-second scan is just insane, and the scan itself lasts 2 or 3 seconds, so that's like a 3-second downtime between scans, which is just insane because it's almost like a constant UAV for the whole of the ult. And another change to it is that he gets more from downed enemies, which can just make the UAV go on for longer, so that's just insane. It sucks to go against the ult team Bloodhound, because he always knows where you are, his teammates always know where you are. It's just crazy. His passive, where he can see clues, I guess you could call them, left by other enemies, is also really good. Because if you're looking for a fight, you can just follow the clues, and it'll lead you to an enemy, and most likely you're going to be getting the jump on them. So you're gonna most likely win that fight if you have better gun skill. So that's just really good for initiating fights and just finding out if people have been in an area. Moving on to Gibraltar. Gibraltar is just like a one-man fortress. He has the arm shield, which absorbs 50 or 75 health, I don't know. Some of my friends are saying 75, but I personally think 50. But his abilities, he just has like a ton of abilities. Like the bubble's really good for rotations if you want to rotate somewhere and you can't get a fort to get shot at. The bubble's really good if you need to rotate a short distance like that. And you also have fast heals inside of it, and a fast res. It's just crazy. Before Lifeline got her buffs, he just completely outclassed her in the resing regard with the bubble and stuff. And yeah, it also just gives you great cover, and the bubble's just great all around. His ultimate, it got nerfed that it doesn't recharge as fast, which is good, quite frankly, because Gibby ult spam is just annoying. Because they come down almost immediately as soon as you throw the thing, and they do really big damage, like 82, if one hits you head on, I'm pretty sure. So that can just crack people's shields and make them easy targets. because they're going to be concussed and not really know what's going on. So that's just really good. And we've already covered the passive, the arm shield, so he just has all these different things that make him a great legend. His only downside is his hitbox, though, which is like the biggest in the game. But it's compensated for his arm shield. Next up, we have one of the obvious, WRAITH. Going off the hitbox with Gibraltar, WRAITH, contrary to him, has like the best hitbox in the game. She's super small. It's so annoying to hit a WRAITH if she's strafing, because she's tiny and she can just run circles around you. And her tactical, Into the Void, I think it's called, is just really good, because you can use it to get out of fights, though that's a bit harder now with the change that it takes longer to activate. But you can also use it to just like scout, as the Respawn devs like said that she's meant to be more of a scout now. So that's really good for her. And her ultimate's always good for just getting out of a pickle and healing up and going back in. And if people decide to follow you through the portal, you'll most likely be waiting for them. So you can just get easy shield cracks on people who go through the portal, or maybe even down someone. So that's always great. And her passive, where you can tell if people are aiming at you, is really good. Because if you're just going in the middle of an open field or something, you need to cross through the desert area near bunker. And Air Force, I don't even know the location. I barely land there. If you're going through that area, you can just tell if someone's aiming at you from one of the sniper towers. That's really powerful. You can tell your team to hurry up or stuff like that. And that's just really good. So it all culminates into a really powerful character. And the final person in S tier is Caustic. Caustic's really good. He also doesn't have the best hitbox like Gibby, but it's not as bad. And his gas is really good. And the only really counter to Caustic is another Caustic, because I'm not 100% sure if EMP destroys his traps. I know it destroys WATTSON nodes, but I'm not sure about Caustic. So yeah, you need a Caustic to counter a Caustic. So that's also great, because he doesn't have that many counters. And the gas itself is quite damaging, and it lasts a while in an area. It can be really hard to push a house that has a lot of Caustic things set up in it. So his tactical is really good, because you can just set up a house or use it even offensively, just throwing the traps onto enemies. The gas grenade is great for team fights, because you can just win a team fight. Because if you throw the gas grenade onto the entire enemy squad, they're just basically screwed, because your teammates can light them up because they're slower and they're taking damage. And it takes 10, I'm pretty sure, so that's nothing to ignore. So that's really good, and it charges pretty fast, so you can also spam it quite a bit. And his passive, that his gas doesn't affect him, is just a given, but it also allows him to not be affected by other Caustic gases. So that's really good. So yeah, that's Caustic, a really good character, and that's also the list over. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry if I was stuttering or anything, because I don't really sit down and make videos like this often. So thanks for watching this far, and subscribe, and a new video will be up soon.